Good morning, friends. Today, I wanted to take you through my morning routine that I've been practicing lately. I'm working on becoming that girl and my version of who she is for me. As we work on building that best life for ourselves, I think it's important to embody the future version of yourself and start implementing things that the best version of you would do. For me, that's starting my morning out early and making sure that I have time for myself before I get caught up in the hecticness of what my life and business demand. I have been enjoying starting my 5 a.m. routine with either a little yoga flow, or sometimes I push myself a little and do something more intense like a Pilates session. I usually just find a workout on YouTube that looks manageable and do that for about 15 to 20 minutes. Doing these exercises gets my blood flowing, wakes my body up, and helps me feel loosened up after a night of sleeping. My favorite part of the morning is when Doodle decides to wake up, come downstairs, and greets me on my yoga mat. It just makes me smile in the morning. After my yoga or Pilates, I usually do about a 5-minute meditation. I just try and focus on completely clearing my mind. I set a timer on my watch for 5 minutes so I don't have to wonder how long I've been sitting in silence with my eyes closed. I remind myself that I can do anything for 5 minutes, and the more time I spend practicing meditation, the easier it gets. After my meditation, I like to spend some time journaling. When I don't know what else to write, I start off with a gratitude list. Other things I like to journal about are things that are frustrating me so I can let them go and move on. Visualizing my perfect day, writing down goals for myself, or writing down affirmations. Similar to meditation, the more you practice journaling, the easier it will get. At this point in my morning, I noticed that the sun was rising and it looked really pretty, so I wanted to get it on camera. One thing I've been loving about waking up early is not missing the sunrises in the morning. I never used to be able to catch the sunrise, and it's been such a treat to see this every morning, especially when it's as beautiful as it was this morning. After the sun rose, I spent about 20 minutes listening to my book. I'm still working my way through the 5 a.m. Club book since I've only been listening to it about 20 minutes per day. It's taking me a while to get through, but if you want some encouragement to try waking up at 5 a.m., I really do recommend this book. I usually like to keep my journal handy while I'm reading these personal development books, just in case I want to jot down some notes that I can remember for later. Once I'm done with this entire routine, I usually make my coffee. I love our espresso machine so much. It was a wedding gift and we have used it probably every single day since we got it. It's kind of like an art, and making my espresso each morning gives me a chance to be a little bit creative in how I make my coffee and practice getting better at something. But it was time to get ready for the day, so I headed upstairs. One thing that I always make sure to do is open the blinds around the house and let as much natural light in, because it just makes me feel more alive. I also have been loving to make my bed every morning because it feels like something that girl does every day. And it turns out I actually like to do it because it gives me a sense of feeling put together. Plus, it is super nice to get into a nicely made bed at night. One other thing that I've been working on for the best version of myself for my that girl routine is to actually get ready in the mornings. I know working from home, being a stay-at-home mom, being unemployed like moi, being a content creator, being a freelance worker, etc., it can be easy to stay in your sweats all day with no makeup. But it's just incredible to me how much of a difference it makes when I actually put myself together. It makes me feel more confident. It makes me feel like the badass woman that I'm telling myself that I am in my daily affirmations. It signals to my brain that we aren't unemployed and we have things to do and people to see. So I do think that putting yourself together, if you don't have a reason to, can be incredibly helpful towards becoming that girl. Also, as a side note, it doesn't have to be a full face of makeup. Maybe it's just some foundation and mascara. Maybe it's just changing out of pajama shorts into nicer yoga pants. Maybe instead of a hoodie, it's a comfy but cute sweater. It doesn't have to be a lot, just something to make you feel more put together, more like that girl. The last thing I've been making sure to do every morning for my That Girl routine is to make a healthy and well-balanced breakfast. I make something with a lot of nutrients and protein that get me energized for today. Stop skipping breakfast. That girl, she needs her morning energy. Then I make sure to hydrate and refill up my water bottle. And lately I've been enjoying adding a little slice of lemon to my water because it just makes me feel a little bit more healthy, and it seems like something maybe That Girl does too. So I wanted to share that little morning routine with you because as I'm thinking about kind of stepping into this, new era for myself, in the words of Taylor Swift, this era being like my That Girl era, if you will, but I'm just thinking about things that I imagine this higher version, better version of myself doing. So if this better version of myself gets up at 5 a.m. because she has 10,000 YouTube subscribers and she needs to create content for brands and she needs that time in the morning to herself to get her mind right for the day because there's no time once her day gets going. So I'm just kind of starting to think about myself in that lens of like my future self and what does her schedule look like, what does her day in the life look like, her morning routine and all of that. So I wanted to share kind of my morning routine that I'm working on perfecting to become that girl for me and that version for me. So hopefully you enjoyed watching that. If you are a morning person, let me know in the comments and let me know what's part of your morning routine that maybe I'm not doing in mine. But now I just wanted to talk through my books that I read in March because I haven't done my March book review yet. I also decided going forward, so starting in hopefully May, as I finish books, I want to record my reaction right away so that you get real-time feedback on the books instead of me trying to remember each book, especially the books that I read at the beginning of the month are a little bit harder for me to articulate and remember specific details. So I'm gonna start trying to record myself as I'm finishing books. Now I just wanted to talk through the books that I read in March. I really enjoy doing these little book reviews, so I hope that you guys also love hearing about the books that I'm reading, what I think about them and all that. And I love hearing in the comments if you guys have read these books or if you have other book recommendations within these genres as well. So I did read 5 books in the month of March, and those 5 books were The Bounty, Maybe in Another Life, Local Woman Missing, All Your Perfects, and The Inmate. And The Inmate was our book club book, so I did save that one for last. So first off, The Bounty, that was a book that my dad actually recommended to me, and for once I have 2 of the books actually physically here. So The Bounty is a Janet Evanovich book, and this is actually part of a series, but I read it as a standalone and it was good. I enjoyed it. It is very much just like a Janet Evanovich story where it's very action-packed, kind of heisty type of book. So this one is very much different than the normal genre that I read, but I thought it was entertaining. It was a quick read, and if you are looking for just a quick, easy action book, I would recommend this one. Next, I read Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Like I've said before, I've read a few Taylor Jenkins Reid books, and this one was kind of different. It was really interesting. It kind of switches perspectives of if she had made this one decision in life, this would have happened, and if she made this other decision, this would have happened, and plays out each entire story. And I thought it was really interesting. It was a very interesting perspective. Both sides are a love story still. If you liked One True Loves, you would like this book. It's not as similar to Daisy Jones and Malibu Rising and Seven Husbands, but more similar to One True Loves. But overall, I really liked that one. I thought it was really interesting. I was really intrigued by the story, and I do have another one of her books in my huge pile behind me, so I'm going to be continuing to read Taylor Jenkins Reid. Next, I read Local Woman Missing, and this was by Mary Kubica, I think is how you say it. This book was pretty dark, I'm not gonna lie. It was very intense, very intriguing. It's a thriller mystery type of book about who actually, it kind of switching perspectives of different people back then when this woman went missing versus today, and what's going on today with the investigation and that type of thing. and it's actually just kind of scary. Like I feel like I've read a lot of thrillers where it's actually not necessarily like a scary story, scary vibe, scary book, but this book actually was a little bit scary for me. So if you like dark books that are kind of crazy, this one had a major twist that I was not expecting. So if you always guess twists, I would be really surprised if you guessed this one. So if you're looking for a good thriller that has a very crazy twist, I do recommend that book. Next, I read All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover. Of course, I've read tons of Colleen Hoover books, but I have to say this one may take the cake for me on my favorite Colleen Hoover book. So I was just like, it was just such a heavy, intense love story, and I think it's just because it was a little bit more like relevant to me in my life as far as like being a married woman. It is from her perspective as far as like her relationship with her husband, and it flashes back between like them meeting and falling in love to today where they're married and they're kind of dealing with some hardships in their marriage. You know, marriage is not easy, and so I think it was like a lot more relatable for me in that sense of working through the difficulties of marriage and fluctuating between that and when you did fall in love with your person. And so I really liked this one. Like I said, I think it might be my new favorite Colleen Hoover book. So if you haven't read this one, like highly recommend it as like more of like an intense, heart-wrenching love story. And the last book I read this month, I also have the hard copy of because it was our book club book. Whoops, upside down. The Inmate by Frida McFadden. So as you guys know, I'm a big Frida McFadden fan now. Originally read The Locked Door, then we read The Housemaid, and then this book for book club this month. And this book kept everyone in our book club guessing. We were really just like, oh my gosh, this book was really intense. Didn't know who the bad person was up until the very end. And again, this one had a major twist ending. None of us expected the main person behind all of it to be who it was. We were all literally mind blown. Again, if you like a thriller mystery with a twist that you were not expecting, I can guarantee it. The Inmate was really good. I feel like there were a few little plot holes where a few of us were like, that wasn't super logical or whatever, but overall I really liked it and would recommend it to anyone that's looking for a thriller book. And one more I'm just gonna talk about. This I have not read yet, but this is our book club book pick for April, and I don't know if you've read it, but it might be a little spicy, so we're curious about that. But just wanted to let you know what the book club book is this month because I'm very excited to read it. We'll be reviewing it definitely next month. All right, you guys, so that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed seeing my 5 a.m. That Girl routine, as well as hearing about the books that I read last month, the book club book that we're reading this month. If you thought any of the things in my routine were interesting, things you might start incorporating into your morning routine, let me know in the comments because I would love to hear what stuck out to you, as well as if there's anything that you do in your morning routine that I'm not doing. I would love to hear that too because I'm always looking for ways to better myself and improve my routines and just be a better version of myself. So as always, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hit that little thumbs up button if you did, and I will see you guys next time. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you check out the link above where I've linked my entire routines playlist.